Did you laugh your heart out, little darling?
That is a pretty terrifying question to wake up to, right? Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're on a mission to break down 7 completely harrowing, real-life, first-hand accounts. Why? Because we want to understand the true anatomy of fear. We're taking the raw data of human terror, categorizing it, and figuring out exactly what makes our blood run cold. Okay, let's dive right into this. Our roadmap for today moves from the tangible right into the totally inexplicable. We'll start with flesh and blood predators, move into horrors of nature, cross over into spirits and specters, delve into demonic encounters, and finally wrap up with the lasting trauma.
Category 1. Flesh and blood predators.
You know, before we even touch the supernatural, we absolutely have to ground our fear in reality. The chilling reality of unhinged humans who might just be living right next door. The mundane world can turn hostile in the blink of an eye. Take this rapidly escalating tension of a 12-year-old girl's night. She's just doing a completely normal chore, helping her mom at a laundromat in a rundown neighborhood, and she heads out to grab $10 worth of gas station snacks. But suddenly, this old, rusty truck catches her eye, and the middle-aged man inside flashes her the widest, most unblinking smile she's ever seen. She frantically sprints back to the laundromat, but moments later he parks his truck directly outside the window where she's sitting, just staring intently. He only finally leaves 15 minutes later when her mother walks out. It really shows how a completely ordinary setting can be instantly weaponized by a predator's gaze. Which brings us to a real drop-the-mic moment from our second human encounter. Picture this. It's 2 a.m. at an abandoned school in St. Louis. 2 brothers, 14 and 20, are suddenly approached by a 6'4" man dragging his left foot and absolutely reeking of alcohol. Completely unprovoked, he just looks at them and says, "I wonder what your blood would look like on the grass," before casually detailing exactly how he plans to feed them to the animals in the nearby forest. And this brilliantly illustrates a terrifying truth about human predators. Think about it. On one side, you have a vulnerable 12-year-old girl just trying to buy snacks. On the other, 2 capable young men, one with 6 years of boxing experience and the other literally carrying a Glock 19X. But in both scenarios, the unpredictable, deeply disturbing nature of an unhinged human threat is equally paralyzing. I mean, the brothers actually had to resort to severe physical violence, punching the man and drawing a weapon, just to escape with their lives. The threat just doesn't care who you are.
Category 2. Horrors of nature.
So we're leaving human threats behind now to explore the strict biological reality of natural terrors, things that operate entirely on instinct and hunger. Imagine the sheer claustrophobic panic of a young girl investigating some noise her dad just brushed off as the house settling. Step by step, she follows this ominous scratching noise in the dead of night, down into a shadowy basement. She squeezes flat on her stomach into a tiny, tight crawl space opening in the wall. And then, the absolute worst-case scenario. She hears a squeak right behind her and realizes a pack of rats has just trapped her in a dead end. She was literally swarmed by an ocean of claws, teeth, and fur in the pitch-black darkness. For an agonizing minute, she's lying on her back, bare feet raised in the air, just watching these rats snap their teeth before they all lunge at once, biting every single inch of exposed skin. This terror is purely primal. It only ended because her father heard her blood-curdling screams, broke in with a baseball bat, and scattered the pack.
Category 3. Spirits and specters.
Now, what's really interesting here as we shift into the realm of the unseen is the life of this one tough English nurse, someone highly accustomed to the grim realities of working in a hospital. Yet she keeps experiencing proximity to the paranormal and horrific death that totally defies simple coincidence. One night, she hears a slow cane tapping down an empty hallway, perfectly matching the routine of a woman who had died earlier that week. On another occasion, and this one is wild, a twist of fate happens, where a doctor gives her his prime parking spot. Moments later, a perfectly normal-looking man inexplicably shatters an upper window and plummets to his death, crushing the doctor's car right where she normally parked her tiny Mini Cooper with her newborn baby inside.
But the supernatural isn't just about what you see, right? It's about what you sense. Take a young woman named Natine. While visiting her grandmother in India, she wakes up in the middle of the night to a wide-open storage room door and this overwhelming, sickening smell of kerosene. Inside the room, a human-shaped figure is literally crawling toward her. It's actively burning and flickering, but making absolutely no sound as it drags itself across the ground. She flees upstairs, hears a massive crash, and then suddenly, the electricity comes back on. The room was totally normal again.
10. That is an absolutely crucial number here. It took exactly 10 years for Natalie to finally learn the truth from her mother. A decade prior, her aunt had tragically died in that exact storage room. The power had gone out, a small oil lamp got knocked over, and kerosene splashed across her. She caught fire instantly, struggling on the floor before she eventually passed away. So the sensory details Natalie experienced, the smell of kerosene, the darkness, the burning figure dragging on the floor, were a flawless, terrifying echo of that tragic event from 10 years earlier.
Category 4. Demonic Encounters.
Okay, this is where we move into our climax. We're examining the most bizarre, malevolent, and inexplicable accounts from our source material, things that defy all natural laws. To understand our next account, we have to look at the San Diego Haunted Park legend, a 1950s myth about a demonic summoning linked to decades of strange sightings and gruesome local deaths. But here's the kicker. A 21-year-old driver only uncovered this history after he had a horrific encounter on a dark, isolated road at 1 a.m., miles away from his usual route in his Ford Ranger.
What he saw in the headlights made him slam on his brakes. Standing right in front of him was an 8-foot-tall entity. It had multiple horns, jet-black empty eyes, a blood-soaked grin, and its body was flickering and shifting like a static TV signal. But the most grotesque visual of all, standing next to it was a 7-year-old girl in a pink dress, and her face was completely torn away, leaving nothing but gore. The entity slowly lifted a razor-sharp claw, pointed directly at his truck, and then the driver just blacked out.
So the crucial point we have to make here is, this wasn't just some hallucination. The driver woke up in a hospital bed at 7 a.m. He turns on the TV, and the morning news confirms that a 7-year-old girl who had gone missing the previous night was found dismembered beneath a local park swing set, and paramedics noted her face appeared to have been completely removed. The terror escalated from a supernatural vision into a horrific reality. And as the source notes, that driver now hears whispers outside his window at night and claims to still see that flickering creature smiling at him in the dark.
From a dark road, we move inside a home. A young university student named AK wakes up unexpectedly at 3 a.m. during a break and walks over to his grandfather's room. He finds the old man sitting upright in bed with cold, empty eyes just grinning in the dark. Freaked out, AK runs away, only to find his aunt, mother, and grandmother sitting in another room emitting this deafening, twisted, agonizing laughter. Soon, AK is infected by it too. He's laughing until he literally can't breathe, eventually collapsing. His family later tells him he arched backward on his tiptoes, clawing the air with his mouth wide open before he blacked out. An entire family, synchronized in demonic possession.
Which brings us right back to our cold open. AK wakes up in the hospital with his family crying in relief. But as his mother and grandmother step away, his grandfather leans down, gives him a warm smile, and whispers this chilling final phrase. "Did you laugh your heart out, little darling?" Confirming that whatever was in that house, whatever caused all of that, was still very much inside his grandfather.
Category 5. The Lasting Trauma. Let's move to this next part and see how this all builds, because escaping the immediate terror is never actually the end of the story. Escaping the threat is just step 1. The true weight is the trauma carried for years after. Survivors completely alter their daily routines to avoid the threat, they endure deep physical and emotional scars, and honestly, worst of all, they live with massive, terrifying, unanswered questions about what exactly they interacted with.
Because survival leaves a mark, these survivors were permanently altered. The young girl and her father spent a week in a hotel while their home was gassed for rats. The young man who saw the roadside demon instantly traded in his Ford Ranger and absolutely refuses to drive at night. And that 14-year-old boxer, after successfully defending himself and his brother with incredible bravery, he went home and broke down, sobbing uncontrollably as the sheer weight of what almost happened finally hit him.
So we've deconstructed the accounts, we've categorized the human predators, the primal nature, the spirits, and the demons. But I want to leave you with one final thought as we close out today's explainer. Based on everything we've analyzed today, just ask yourself, what is hiding right now in the walls of your house or in the shadows of your street? Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep your eyes open and stay curious.